That's right. The perfect closing gift every single time. You go, why are you doing a video on this? You know, over the last years, say 25 or more, one of the frequently asked questions from an agent is when they're doing a closing, what do you get for closing gifts? Or what company do you use? What do you like? You know, and it goes from everything from cutting boards to fruit baskets to wine. I mean, it's all over. There are even companies out there that will sell you this stuff. And I always go back to a deal that I had years ago. And I had someone that was helping me get this deal done. And after the closing, they would always bring over a nice gift, a big thing of chocolate. And when I got it the first time, I thought, man, that's pretty cool. So I unwrapped it and I put it up on the front desk for all the agents to get. Why is that? I don't really eat that much chocolate. It's not my thing. But she went on to tell me that this was her favorite chocolate and wanted me to have it. So a couple of gifts come in like that and I put them back. It kind of became a joke at the office. Phil must have had a closing. We get his chocolate. So one day I got up the nerve and I said, listen, I don't mean to hurt your feelings or anything, but you're spending a lot of money on this chocolate. And I know it's your favorite, but I don't eat that much chocolate. So if you want to get me something that may be useful, how about a box of Titleist Pro V 100 golf balls? Now that I'll never give away. I wouldn't even give that away to my buddies on the golf course. If you give me other brands, I might, but that was mine. And I learned something from that, is that when you're selecting a closing gift, don't get what you like, you get what they like. And if you stay with me to the end of the video, I'm going to give you the perfect closing gift every single time. I had a customer that came in from out of town, which is very common here in Florida, and I was listening to them and they talked about football, so we got them something for their son for football. And the mother said, that's the greatest thing. I mean, this is awesome. Welcome to Florida. This is fantastic. Why? Trust me, it wasn't because of the success of the Jacksonville Jaguars, okay? But it was the idea that we listened. Now, I want to go back to when this closing gift really begins. It begins on your first conversation, the first time that you ever talk to them on the phone. You're registering, you're remembering, you are listening. And one of the things that I like to do in that first conversation, yes, we get the bedrooms, the bathroom, yes, we get all of that. But the one thing that I like to ask is, what do you and your family like to do when you're not working? What is it that you enjoy being out? And they will tell you different things. I'm listening. I'm writing it down. I'm remembering. Because that could be the closing gift at the end, but something that has to do with that. I had a client not long ago. I went to the closing table. I had the listing. At the end of, and I was sitting at the table. I always go to all the closings, and I was there. And I said to myself, I said, what is something they like? Well, at the end of the closing, the new owner, very excited, not his first rodeo, okay? He had bought many homes. And he says, all right, guys, it's make or marks time. We're going home to enjoy a drink. Well, I thought about that. And I thought, okay, I just wrote it down. Listing agent left, sellers left. And I thought, a couple days later, I told my wife, I'm going to go to the liquor store and pick up a bottle of Maker's Mark and drop it off at his house and welcome him to his new home. Of which she replied, you're going to the liquor store in the middle of the day? I said, it's for a good cause, promise. So I went to the liquor store. I got the liquor later on that afternoon, took it over, knocked on the door, said, hey, I just want to, I was a listening, I know who you are. I just wanted to bring this by. And he said, well, that's awful nice. Have you got any time on your hands? I said, I've always got time. And he said, why don't you come in and have a drink with me? Now, for you that don't know, Maker's Mark is a whiskey. Okay? I forgot to mention that up front. My bad. I went in, had a drink. A week later, he calls up and said, will you and Melanie stop by the house? So we stopped by the house. I don't remember now if it was that day, 2 or 3 days. I don't remember. Coming and going, you forget timing, right? Stopped in, had a drink, and he said to Melanie, he said, you know, he's my realtor for life. Not the reason I stopped by. He's my realtor for life because when I said the other day that we were going to have Maker's Mark, my agent said they were too busy, and I haven't heard from them since. He brought me over a bottle, and that's my favorite kind. That's the kind I drink. Now, he's my realtor for life. Not only that, but he's given out my name to number to other people. Why? So one day we're going along, and we're showing him property, and it was $2.2 million. I'll never forget it. We were showing him the property. He goes, did you ever imagine that one bottle of Maker's Mark is going to make you a boatload of money? And me too. And I hadn't thought about it. It wasn't the reason I did it. All you're doing is telling people that you're listening, that you're giving them something that they want. You know, it's kind of like we had a company come in selling cutting boards, and they're going to put their name on it and all that. If I get a cutting board and Melanie and I are at home and I bring that cutting board home, her first question is going to be, what do we do with that one? We already have 30 of them. So it goes into the closet. You don't throw them away because we love cooking and all that, but we don't need another cutting board. You know what? You weren't listening. You're just like that lady years ago bringing all that chocolate. You just weren't listening. And it's going to cost you. Here's how it costs you. If you don't have that perfect closing gift, you're going to be chasing rabbits the rest of your life. What do I mean by that? Well, if you get a deal and it closes and you haven't been doing the referrals and you haven't been growing through closing gift and you haven't been doing things that are important to other people, not to you, you're always going to be chasing the next deal. They're never going to come to you. But once you look at this closing gift as it is a referral source, we do it, number one, because we want to do it. We care. I've had people say to me as agents, well, I don't give closing gifts. My doctor doesn't give me a closing gift after surgery. My mechanic doesn't send me a closing gift after he repairs my car. But here's the thing. Do you want more business? Do you want referrals? You make people feel special. How do you make people feel special? By getting them what they want, what they're passionate about, or what they enjoy, whether they're with their family or with themselves. I think you get the idea here at the end. And that is, start listening from the first phone call and build it up to that closing. You'll never have to ask anyone else what to get for that perfect closing gift. If you like it, subscribe to my channel. If you didn't like it, let me know why. Maybe I can make it better next time. Thank you, and I hope you have a blessed day.